Everyday Juggler, your source for juggling highlights, interviews, tutorials, and reviews. And now your host, Sean Livingston.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking out this episode of Everyday Juggler Profiles. Today we get to hang out with Jeff Peden. Thanks so much for being with us. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, how long you've been juggling, and what you're most excited about when it comes to juggling right now.
Sure, no problem, Sean. Let's see, how long have I been juggling, you said? So I've been juggling, seems like forever. I learned the basics in 6th grade, so that goes back quite a few years now. It's like somewhere in 1970s. I'm from Rochester, New York, which is right in between Buffalo and Syracuse, right next to Lake Ontario. And for some of you who see my Facebook feed, you see I'm by the lake often. It's because it's just about a mile from my house, so I can jump on a bike or fly down the car quick before work. And I'm really excited about the RIT Spring Juggling, which is coming up in just like 41 days, I think it is now. So that's one of the things.
What's most exciting you about the fest this year?
Well, a couple of things. For one, we're getting Team Rootberry to come up. I'm sure you guys have heard of them. They're a professional team. They're often so busy, so we're having them for the public show. And I love having Jonathan Root around. He's just hysterically funny, and you just can't beat seeing Bill Berry, put a sword down his throat. And then on top of that, we keep trying to, make things different and add extra stuff to the event. But we've always wanted to really have a focus on being able to have a teaching and workshop environment. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, one of our club members really has taken up, the challenge, I guess it was. He says, I'd like to see us not just have 1 hour workshops. I'd like to have even some more half-hour workshops where you get maybe just one or two pieces or one specific ball trick, not 100 of them, and then you walk away being able to do that. So it's actually kind of almost, I don't know if we'll completely double the number of workshops we'll have, but we'll actually another 50% more workshops. So we'll be having like 4 per session and then sometimes a half-hour break. So it'll be really great.
All right, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that. I'll be there. So
you're coming. Awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. All right, so let's take it back to 6th grade. What inspired you to juggle?
The middle school I went to, the teachers were actually relatively clever. They understood that the day before any vacation, students really weren't going to get anything done. So they had, just before spring break, they had all the teachers get together and said, oh yeah, what kind of mini classes can you teach? And the kids would sign up and you'd get these. So instead of going to regular class a day, you go to a 40-minute mini class. And one of the gym teachers was like, hey, I'll teach juggling. So you can imagine 20 kids in a regular classroom, not even in the gym setting, in a regular classroom, desks and chairs with tennis balls flying everywhere. I thought it was awesome. I just barely got, a 1-2 with the 2 balls down and had no real clue. But then that was enough for me to go to the library and go find the Carlo book of juggling. I don't know if you've seen that classic one, and kind of self-teach from there. So, but yeah, that's what the start was.
Okay, and now you're a teacher and you perform. So what happened in between then and now to get you where you are now? That's a trip down a long memory lane, right?
It is a bit. Let's see if I can keep it as quick so it doesn't take all day. Well, there were quite a few things. I mean, I guess the other inspiration besides that 6th grade event was at the same time, of course, I had a cousin who could juggle and ride unicycle. So automatically, if you've got someone else in your family who can do it, supposedly that means you're going to be able to do it. So anyway, so from there, just kind of slowly puttered around with juggling stuff. Didn't really know that much. Learned one single ball trick, and I thought that was great because I didn't know anyone else who juggled in the area. And even though there were people, I just didn't know them.
Right.
Then in high school, I ran into a kid who had said, "Oh yeah, I took this class at RIT, and I learned this trick." And he showed me this cross arm trick, which I later found to be Mills Mess, but I didn't even know what it was then. And so that gave me an idea that RIT had something going on. And then went off to college nearby at Brockport, taught myself some more, made my first set of clubs, just like everyone else with the plastic bowling pins, right? Then got out of there, began teaching. And so now with my amazing skill set of I can do 3 clubs, qualify, 3 balls with maybe 3 tricks and 3 rings, I'm like, hey, I'll start a juggling club with these students. They learned everything that had taken me 10 years in the first 5 days. And they're like, show us more. And I'm like, and about the same time, Dave Finnegan's Complete Juggler book had come out. So I got that. So I'm going through that like crazy. And then I looked up more about RIT, found the RIT teacher, Greg Moss, who was also part of the Rochester Juggling Club at the time. So I started going to the Rochester Juggling Club, met a lot of cool people there. They's like, oh, well, we can show you how to do this. And, oh, those are nice clubs you made there, but, most people buy them. Oh, well, where do you get that? And so on and on. And then from there, we kind of became addicted and became like a prop fanatic, because it was like, okay, well, the clubs are good, but, those cigar boxes are cool. But, Diablo, that looks fun. Let's try some hat tricks. So, it just kind of branched out. And then in around 89, I had already been going to club quite a bit, and I had actually moved up into a position of being a president of the Rochester Club. And a guy came to town and was like, hey, I've been performing, but my partner left. Is there anybody here who might want to be a partner with me? And I'm like, well, maybe. What does that mean? Because I hadn't really done any performing, except for a craft fair, stand around. So he's like, well, it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of practice. I'm like, I'm hesitating. Well, it turned out his picture of a lot of practice wasn't nearly what mine was, so it turned out to be fine.
That's great.
But we started. So his name was Rick Simpson, and that was back in '89. We started working together as just fooling around, and so now with performing, it became, well, there's even more reason to learn new stuff. So then unicycle, 6-finger unicycle, flaming torches. So we worked together. Right up until, until 2004. And Wes was born in 1990, so Wes would be wandering around watching us juggle and doing everything else and participating, as I was watching juggling videos all the time. And then in 2004, Wes was already juggling quite proficiently, and we went off to perform together as Airplay, and we did that full time for a few years until he went off to Sweden. And since then, I've had several other partners and continue to perform. So that's kind of it up to date. I'm back to being a solo act. So anyway.
Okay. One question I had is, so when you started in 1989, at this point, how proficient at juggling would you say you were at that point when you started the performing act?
There's a psychological principle that I studied. It was pretty cool. It's like when the people when you're not really smart, you think you know everything, and then the more you know, the more you realize you don't know diddly squat, right? So that's more. So that's kind of. I mean, when I first started performing, I'm like, I can do like three. One of my early influences was the Flying Karamazov brothers, right? So of course that means I had to go get sickles and I had to get machetes and frying pans and all that. So in 1989, I'm like, well, look, I can do 3 sickles, 3 machetes, I can do 3 pennies, I can do 3 torches, I can all these wide range of things that I can do 3 of in a cascade. And I was like, I'm a pretty good juggler, and I can unicycle. So at the time, I thought I was, pretty good, thereby, so I should be performing. In retrospect, I was horrific. I was terrible. I had 0. I could, if I could consistently throw a single back cross, I was ecstatic, and I've grown quite a bit, but now I just know how much more I don't know. So anyway.
Well, I mean, I also think that just goes to show that you don't necessarily have to be an expert to start doing what you love. It might be a little harder now than it was then, but.
Oh no, absolutely no. I've seen quite a few people who go out there who had about the same level of skill I did or lower, and are great performers. I mean, you can be a fabulous performer and not necessarily have skill con or WGF level skill. It's just much more about connecting with the people. So.
So what kind of kept you going through all the years? What made you want to keep learning new stuff?
It's a good question. I guess, I've always been fascinated by unique things and different things. I never, my family background, I never really settled into the standard stereotypes. My dad was never like, let's sit around and watch NFL football or pro wrestling together. So I was always into the little non-mainstream, picking up knife throwing when I was a kid, or origami, or I learned spin tops really early at a summer camp. So all these little off the beaten path things have always been an interest to me, and so that's kind of been a thread that carries. And then on top of it, I just love the challenge that comes with all the juggling stuff. There's never an end point. I mean, it's not like bowling where, okay, I got my 300, now I'm done. It's like, okay, I finally got this trick. oh, look, there's 10 more. Oh, what, there's a prop. Oh, wait, I never even thought about incorporating that with that. And then you watch people like Jay Gilligan, and you're like, okay, I thought I understood rings. But he's doing multiplexes with 3 different size rings. So yeah, I think that just the fact that it's always new and different kind of keeps me going.
There's endless possibilities.
Absolutely.
For some people, I feel like that might be like daunting or a little, discouraging. Like I can't ever perfect this.
Yeah, I'm sure that's possible. There've been some days where I feel like that too, but I don't spend any time on 5 club back crosses, so it's easier for me.
All right. So you mentioned that you started the RIT Juggling Club. Is that what you were saying?
No. I mean, some of the people who influenced me from the RIT Juggling Club, although in a manner of speaking, so the club itself has existed in name since 1977 when Greg Moss first started teaching juggling at RIT. Mm-hmm. But as a functioning club that was more than just Greg and like one other student, it really hasn't been that strong since roughly 1999. Mm-hmm. And that was the same time when I started teaching there, because Greg had retired from teaching and I took over his position. And at the same time, Jeff Lucas and Warren Hammond and Dave Nager were all students at RIT, and they were the ones who really brought the club to life, more or less, and really brought a lot more people into it and everything else. And then I've continued to be with the club since those guys graduated and moved on and done other amazing things. But yeah, it's grown to be quite a solid club in the last few years.
Mm-hmm. In your experience with the RIT club and then also the Rochester one, what was it about those juggling clubs that impacted you the most?
Wow, it changes over time because they've all impacted me, but each time is like I was going through some photos from the RIT club over the last few years, and you get students who will come in who are like brand new to juggling, like they come as a freshman, like, oh, I saw this was really cool, and then they'll just go mind-bogglingly fast, like, oh, I learned 3 balls today, and then they come back next week like, oh, look, I learned Mills Mess. I'm like, what, in a week? And then they move on to new stuff, and I had one student who would come. I had shown him the basics, fundamental stuff of contact juggling. He comes back in 6 months because like he had come to club for a while and got busy with the internship. Comes back and now he's doing palm rolling with interactive with 6 balls. I'm like, well, where did you get that? He goes, well, you taught me. I'm like, no. I showed you the beginning level stuff. That's really so. That's kind of cool. That's one way it impacts me. Just being able to see how students learn stuff. But it also kind of pushes me. I'm like, well, okay, if he went in 6 months and did all that, what's my excuse? So that's kind of one way. I guess the other way is just being able to work with people who see things completely differently. Quinn Lewis currently goes to club, and as a musician and a mechanical engineer, and the way he looks at 3-ball patterns is just mind-boggling. I'm like, that is so cool. I wouldn't have seen it. So that kind of has a huge impact too. Just being able to interact with people who see things differently. Does that make any sense?
Totally. All right. So being able to see different things, being inspired by people, and then it sounds like also watching kind of teaching people and seeing that kind of blossom as people
absolutely
take what you taught them.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Cool. And you don't just teach at the club; you also teach professionally. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I actually teach a juggling class at RIT. Yes.
Okay. And what's that like? Or what? How does that work?
It's great. It's great. It's part of their wellness department. RIT.
Okay.
Like all colleges, has the students are required to take a couple PE classes, as it were. But RIT really likes to have a wide variety because they know that their students are clever, gifted. They're not going to just tolerate only basketball and racquetball. So my stuff fits into the wellness activities for life. So I'm competing with stuff like horseback riding and billiards and fencing. But it's all the same. It's great. We usually have at least 20. Sometimes more students in the class, and it's really interesting because there's only one juggling class. There aren't like prerequisites. There's not like this is beginner, this is intermediate. So occasionally you get people who actually know something about juggling who come in and then want more. Most of the time it's people who've never juggled. And so on the first day, their conception is, okay, it's going to be 15 weeks. It's going to take me 15 weeks to learn how to do 3 balls. And then we finish the first night and they're all qualifying with 3 balls. I'm like, okay, so now we're going to start working on this other stuff. And they're like, Oh, so yeah, so it's been great, and a lot of the workshops have been I've been able to take some great workshops with Greg Phillips and Jay Gilligan and other people about like theory and context of juggling. Like I took a wonderful one with Denis Palmiere several years ago, the New York City Festival, which had like ball theory. Maybe you've seen it before. It was a picture of like a stick figure, and the balls go through different spots of the paper, and they come forward and backward.
I don't think
No,
I've seen that.
not ringing a bell. Regardless, it's a really nice way to visualize different ways you can throw or catch a ball. So you could go under the arm one way or over the arm in the reverse direction.
Mm-hmm.
So we end up doing that with the students like by week 2. And they're not even really that solid with 3 balls yet, but they're starting to get principles of, okay, when you're ready to do 3-ball body throws, it's more than just under the leg. Mm-hmm. And here's all this different variety. So yeah, mm-hmm. I really enjoy it. It's great to see them learn and grow. It also kind of keeps me constantly in the loop trying to go, okay, how can I learn more myself? How can I present the material better? How can I explain site swap, which isn't always easy? So anyway.
All right. Have you seen anybody come in that didn't really know anything about juggling and then walk out and go, you know what, I think I'm going to do this a lot more and get really into it? Continue on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Many times I've had that. Most recently, there's a student at our team named Jake Hart Predmore. I think on Instagram his name is Juggle Slots. He connects a lot with Quinn Lewis. And so he had come in and just bare fundamentals of 3-ball at the class. Like this is almost like a year and a half ago now. He's currently putting stuff on Instagram that is like mind-boggling. I was like, okay, I took this 5-3-1 mills and I added a wrist drop and a change up. He's actually creating new stuff that people haven't done before. I'm like, how did you even think of that? He goes, well, I just combine and come in. I'm like, oh, so yeah, that happens all the time.
That's great.
Yeah. And he's going to be teaching a workshop at RIT at the Juggling. So we haven't decided which one he's going to teach. But
Sweet.
He's going to teach something.
That's awesome. How long ago did he go through your class?
I think it's been 2 years now.
All right. So 2 years and he's ready to teach classes. So he's really.
Oh yeah. He's told. Oh yeah. Yeah. If you look up,
I know. I actually know who you're talking about. I've seen his stuff.
Okay. Yeah. You've seen some of his videos on the RIT Juggle page. Yeah. It's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. So as you went through all these years of juggling, who would you say was kind of like your main supporter, the person who cheered you on?
Main supporter cheered me on. The most obvious, and the first one, of course, would be my wife, who tolerates having like tons and tons of stuff. I have we just recently moved in the last years, but at the previous house, I had like one whole quadrant of the garage was all my juggling stuff, and one section room of the basement was all the juggling stuff. So she's pretty amazingly supportive about that and the performance and everything else. But then secondarily would be Rick Simpson, who was that guy who first brought me on as a partner years ago. He's always been available to help and try new stuff or do workshops and come and help everything. So yeah, Rick and my wife.
Okay. And I also, speaking of Rick, I want to go back a little bit to doing performance stuff. When you started performing, what was one thing that you experienced that you didn't expect to be a challenge?
First time. Well, I think probably like all jugglers. I mean, Lucas mentioned this when he was talking about his performance stuff. You don't really anticipate that your nerves are going to jump another 200% as soon as you step in front of an audience. You practice it. You practice in front of video. You practice in front of your friends. It's all perfect. It goes effortlessly. You get in front of an audience and it's like, and they'll say, like, how did I drop that easy thing? What happened there? And it's like that list that they had before, like the 10 different kind of drops. Like that. I just made the hard trick drop. End of the routine drop. So that kind of stuff, especially in the previous years, it still surprises me now, but I think it was most shocking in the very early days. Like, wow, how did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm. And what was the most rewarding thing about getting past that and continuing to perform?
I think it's always the interactions I get with people after the show. And it's a really nice feeling, because I think we all have some level of inner critic, so when you're going through the routine, you're like, I know what the perfect is in my mind, and then something doesn't quite go well, and you're like, oh, no one liked it. They all noticed the worst thing. And then kids come on, they go, that was amazing. When are you coming back? Can you teach me how to juggle? And they didn't even see it, and you're like, oh, okay, that's all right. Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
That's awesome. Do you have any advice for people who are aspiring to be professional jugglers?
Aspiring to be professional jugglers. Well, I would still take advice on that. I mean, Ivan Cassell stayed overnight, and I was asking him for tips still, because I think he's just amazing at media and marketing and growing his business, and then we were talking about how Barry Friedman's awesome at it. So I think I don't know if I have the ultimate advice. I think people should always be learning. But if you're starting out and you're trying to perform, I think take every opportunity you can. Don't worry too much about being perfect. Just get out there. And the classic advice that they always have for performers at almost every workshop I've been to is carry a notebook or an iPad or something that you can write down thoughts after the show, before the show, because invariably you'll do something that worked, and you should remember that. And it may not be what you planned. And you'll do something that was terrible, but unless you write it down, that was terrible. Now, what am I going to do different next time? Unless you write down, you go back and you end up doing the same mistakes over and over. So being able to, just to record what you're doing so you can keep making it better.
Mm-hmm. All right. Can you think back on all those performances you've had, and I'm sure you have many, but what's one memorable performance? Something that sticks out?
Just one. Really? Oh, man. There's so many. Well, I can. Okay, well, here's one. It was a little allow us to segue, because picking only one's really, really challenging. But one of the more memorable performances was when I got to do Team's performance with Wes at the Turbo Fest stage in the first year they opened. So that was pretty memorable. So that was really good. So every time I step back on that stage when I go up there for a conference, I'm like, I performed up here. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it early, because I don't think I could compete with anybody else up here now, because the talent there is so high now. So
yeah. What juggler have you looked up to, or jugglers?
When I was first getting started, like I mentioned, the Karamazov Brothers was a big influence, and then I finally found the Juggling Club and the IJA and juggling tapes, and one of my first juggling videos was the 1990 competitions with Mark Neiser, and I just watched that over and over and over. So I thought Mark Neiser was amazing, and we've had him in Rochester a couple of times. I still think he's amazing. He's a really funny guy. And then since then, Jay Gilligan just continually blows my mind. I mean, I read books on creativity and inspiration and dance and all these different forms, and he continually is just cutting edge, coming up with something that no one else would have thought of, and the way he takes such an intentional position on juggling, not just like, okay, I'm going to work on my 7-ball. It's like, no. 7-ball is like your foundation. It's like of course you would master your brushstroke. Now let's take 7-ball and make it more creative with some multiplexes and some musical things. And I'm like, so yeah, I think Jay's pretty amazing.
Yep. That last video he posted with the rings is 30 years of juggling.
Yes. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Right?
It's amazing.
All
right. Definitely an inspiring video. It's like, in 30 years, am I going to be able to do that?
Oh, I know. And did you see and have you seen his Newton cradles one with all the different Newton cradles and timing?
I actually haven't seen that.
You know what a Newton cradle is? The ones with the balls on the strings and they click clack back and forth.
Yeah.
So he's got like sets of like 5 or 6 of them on tables, and they're all lined up. And he's doing a 2-ball pattern, and then with one of those balls, drops the ball, moves to the next one, moves, and there's all these different patterns. So there's multiple movements visually going on as well as the juggling. It's incredible. So yeah, Jay's cool.
That's awesome. Okay, so in all of your years, how have you seen juggling change your life for the better, or how has juggling impacted you in general?
Wow. Juggling's impacted me in general in terms of it's helped me make a lot of friends and meet a lot of people there's no way I would have met otherwise. It's impacted me in my life, and many of those people I'm just constantly astounded how the people who are in juggling or in the juggling community, just like the level of awareness, about physicality, about connectedness with the world, connectedness with their own body, connectedness with health, connecting with the community. It's a really, really positive experience. And so that's always been great. I mean, I have some great friends like Greg Phillips, for example, who just always comes to the juggling, always willing to help out. And he's also like a brilliant computer, professor up at the college up in Kingston. So yeah, I think very much just the level of the people and the inspiration that gives me to keep trying and learning new things. So I mean, I saw a fabulous video the other day about how juggling impacts learning theory. And I was like, wow, there's this guy was talking about how he started to juggle a trick and then he couldn't get it, and then he walked away and he came back in 2 days and then all of a sudden he was able to get it. I'm like, yeah, I've had that experience before. And then here he brings on the TED Talk on this cognitive neuroscientist. Like, yes, well, we've discovered that the myelin needs at least a 10-minute break for it to rebond and make the neural pathways. So I'm like, that's so cool. And it kind of started with someone trying to learn juggling better. But then it, of course, cross-references into all sorts of other learning things, So, yeah, that inspires me.
Awesome. And how have you seen juggling impact somebody else's life?
Well, I've seen it impact my son's life. I've seen it impact Joe Shower's life. I've seen it impact a couple of my partners. So, I've seen Joe Showers go from being just a natural entertainer, and when we used to have discussions, he's like, yeah, I was pretty much voted class clown. I'm like, yeah, I could see that,
Totally.
But he's also like such a high level. Driven, I mean, he could have been like an Olympic athlete if he had decided that was his path as opposed to juggling easily, He's got that kind of drive and determination when it comes to anything. But like in the last couple of years, just seeing him be able to, take the natural tendency to be an entertainer and a clown, and then combine it with those athletic, physical gifts and just do so much great stuff on stage. I think that's a really nice fit for him.
Perfect. All right, so here's some quickfire questions for you. What's your favorite trick or pattern to do?
Favorite trick or pattern? Well, I came prepared because I was watching some of your videos, and like everyone else, if you had hit me blindsided, I would have been like stumbling. But 4-2-3. I'm going to go with 4-2-3 because there's easily like 30 or 40 or 50 variations. So
okay.
Not that I have them all down, but 4-2-3. Next.
Right. And to watch?
To watch. I love multiplex patterns. I guess it's kind of vague, but we'll go with that.
I'm with you there. Favorite prop to juggle?
Oh, yeah. Balls.
Okay. And
balls, beanbags.
Beanbags. And your favorite brand of beanbags?
Oh, favorites. Come on, dude. I've been juggling for so long. I have like boxes and boxes of stuff. I understand. I understand. It's fine. At the moment, it's fine. It's fine. Because I actually was thinking about it because I've seen you ask the same question. Because I went from the very beginning as a juggler, starting with super pinkies, then to lacrosse balls, then to homemade bean bags, then to like some like a Higgins Brothers 3-pack set, and then Wes and I had gotten some stuff from Sportco, and those were fabulous. I mean, they lasted forever. And like when he got a new set, I'm like, give me your old ones. I don't want to let them go. So those were like hardcore for the longest. But I just recently, Flying Clipper, Jim Fitzgerald, Flying Clipper has sent me some of his prototype balls, which he tells me, and they're really nice, ultra suede. He tells me they're washable. I'm working on beating them up now, and I'm looking forward to seeing if I can actually wash them, because that would be super sweet. Just like go work out and then throw your juggling balls in the wash with your jeans. So I don't know how that goes.
That's pretty cool. I'd like to see this. All right, your favorite music to listen to while you're practicing?
Well, it changes over time, obviously, but my at the juggling club, we have a speaker, and everyone has iPods and cell phones, but none of the students bring a playlist. So unfortunately, they end up hearing my 80s playlist a lot. So I often have 80. So so they'll hear Talking Heads and sometimes David Bowie, and I have other stuff that's like, sound cuts from other juggling videos that I've seen where someone did something, and it's like I have several of the songs from the Throwjoy album that Wes put out. So like, steal the music from stuff that other jugglers have seen. But if not that, then I'll often go to like Pandora or something like that and put on something electro swing. I like something just got a little bit of a rhythm to it.
All right, great. And your best practice tip?
Besides practice.
Yeah, right.
All right. I don't know if it's the best one, but it's my current one. And it would be remember to take time to intentionally practice solo and to record what you did. So recording and practice solo. My tendency, I love hanging out with other jugglers. I'm kind of there's the social aspect of it, and so that's great, and I can learn quite a bit that way. But it can be easy when I'm not with other jugglers to go, well, I'll wait till the club duel practice. But then that's not as directed, and it doesn't necessarily further my goals. So remembering to leave some personal time to go, okay, what are these goals I'm working on, and make sure to record that your progress can be really, really good and kind of help you move forward more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's great. What about, or not what about, a little slightly different topic, favorite juggling festival you've been to?
Well, as coordinator for the RIT Juggling for the last 10 years and having been attending it for 25, that would have to be my first one. It's like my first love. I love it. I mean, when I first learned to juggle, that was like the first festival I ever went to. And that was where I first saw Diablo and got my first Diablo. And that's where I got my first passing tips. So I've got a lot of love for the RIT Spring Juggling. But then, and I actually had a quote lately on Facebook. It was something like this, to the extent of like RIT Spring Juggling is kind of like my faithful wife, the one who you care about, who takes care of you through all time and else. But then, next is the seductress, is the mistress of TurboFest, because TurboFest up in Quebec is just amazing. And I don't have to run that. And they have the most brilliant instructors and great stuff on the floor and incredible shows. So it's kind of a toss-up on most favorite, but those are my top two.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah, I've heard a lot about the TurboFest.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I hope to make it up there next year. We'll see. Go back kind of far away.
There's quite a few people who carpool up from the Rochester, Buffalo area. You might be able to get halfway here and park a car and then ride up with a group.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Great idea. So you said that you're the coordinator. You've been the coordinator for the RIT Fest, and I just kind of wanted to hear what it's like to coordinate a fest from the coordinator's perspective. What goes into that, and what kind of experience are you trying to create?
Oh. Well, a lot goes into it. Yeah, so it's unique. I have this loose title of the Spring Juggling Coordinator, which has kind of evolved over time. But there is no one person, right? Anybody who's run any kind of event like this will automatically tell you it's not me alone. It's all these other people, and if it was me alone, it would have died. So I have lots and lots of help. And the really nice thing with the RIT event is, although it's associated with the college, so thereby it has its name, and it got started there because Greg had access. And if it wasn't for the college and the club, there's no way we could actually get access to the gym. So large gyms, they're virtually impossible to get a hold of on your own. Mm-hmm. So, but outside of that, the Rochester community of jugglers, I know like on Joe's podcast, he was mentioning, there's a U of R juggling club, a Rochester club, et cetera. That whole community pretty much gathers around with us. So even though the RIT students have to do a lot of paperwork to make sure it can happen on campus, when it comes down to running the event and doing the workshops and participating in the shows, we get a lot of help from other local people. So that's great. It's really nice to be able to network and pull all these people in. So that's a really great thing. That's part of if you're going to try to run any kind of festival, you've got to imagine having a team of 20 people. Even if you don't have them yet, because it takes a lot. And what am I trying to create? I've been to quite a few festivals, so I guess I keep trying to create this image that's a blend of them all. I love being at places where there's. I know. Sorry, it just dawned on me. I'm trying to create a 531 experimental festival of juggling in the United States. I didn't realize it before. But I've never been to it, but I've heard that the 531 festival has some shows, but has like lots of workshops and people sharing creative ideas and expanding on it. So like over the last few years, I keep trying to make sure we push the edge on workshops and have some advanced workshops as well as beginner stuff. And we've kind of added in, so we've got a Friday night show, we've got a Saturday morning show, we've got a Saturday evening show. So we try to cover as much as possible so that anyone who's a beginner could walk in and get inspired, or someone who's even intermediate advanced could still walk away with something as well. It's kind of a long answer. Sorry.
Oh no, that's great. I want more. So, as far as kind of making more workshops or providing more workshops, what are some ways that you are enabling that?
How do I enable more workshops? Basically, my huge, massive strategy for enabling more workshops is I ask people and I tell them, I did your workshop. It was really good. Could you please do that here? So, because it's difficult, because not everyone feels that they're competent or capable of leading a workshop. And some people have led the same workshop 20 times over, and they're like, really, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm really that good at it. I mean, feel like, well, all right, so for an example, Norby Whitney does a brilliant pirouette workshop. I've gone to it at least 3 different times now, and I actually use pieces of it when I try to teach pirouettes on my juggling class. But I know he's done it at multiple festivals and does it turbo time, but there's something when you have someone who is really good at breaking it down, it makes a huge difference. So I kind of look for people who are good at doing that. Because in the early years at RIT, the workshop used to be everyone would sit in the bleachers, one guy would stand on the ground, he would demo stuff for like 20 minutes, and then go, okay, why don't you, if you have any questions, come down and talk to me. And I'm like, well, that's not how you learn juggling stuff. You have to put your hands on it, you know? So I'm always looking for people, and much like Quinn and Sam Border, one of our club members, was mentioning, some way to take one section of a trick and break it down into people's hands so they can go, okay, this is the step 1, this is the step 2, now here's the step 3, so they could actually walk away with something finished, So that's kind of what I'm aiming for.
That's great. As far as you said, the festival, it's evolved over the years, and that's from you going to other festivals. What kind of impact does people's feedback and or critique have on the direction the festival goes? And a follow-up to that question is, if somebody wanted to give it to you, what do you want to hear and what don't you want to hear?
Feedback makes a difference. We love having feedback, and we're always trying to find something extra, something new, something different to try to add in to make it different. I mean, we got some amazing feedback just a few years ago. Again, TurboFest inspired. One year at TurboFest, we had been there, and on their opening night, they had, and you can do this because it's Canada, they had brought like a case of wine and these little tiny like 4-ounce glasses, and they poured everybody little tiny glasses of wine, and then we all toasted the opening of the festival. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. So, we're the States, you can't do that. But from that, we got inspired to have an opening of the festival dinner. So the club provides pizza, not tons, like enough for everyone to get like a slice or two, and people are encouraged to bring something to share. And we end up taking a group photo at the very beginning, and then we got this feast of food. And that's just been like the last few years, but it's been a huge hit. And a lot of people are like, oh, this was great. I'm really glad I came to this. This is what a great idea. So that was some positive feedback. And so that continues all the time, even though it takes some extra time. Feedback, occasionally we get feedback that's just people just don't know really what they're talking about, and you kind of just take it with a grain of salt. They're like, well, it was noisy in the gym. I'm like, it's a gym, get real, or well, I wish there had been more 3 Diablo workshops. I'm like, well, I wish I had someone who lived on this side of the pond that could do 3 Diablos well enough and teach a workshop, because that's kind of rare. So sometimes it's just irrelevant, and sometimes it's personal preference, like in the show. It's really difficult to make a public show that is going to satisfy technical jugglers and lay audiences and family members who want to bring their 12-year-old kid. It's kind of, you got quite a, so invariably you'll get something from someone. But and most of the time I'm fine with getting feedback. The RIT Juggle at Gmail is the address for the club, and on the last year, we even on the Facebook page associated with the event, we even posted a survey. Hey, tell us what you think about this and what you think about that, etc. But yeah, we're fine with feedback. I'm cool. Used to it. It's one way you get better.
All right, and then to kind of close off the RIT conversation, give your shameless plug on why everybody should come to the RIT Festival.
My shameless plug. The marketer's shameless plug. Okay. Let's see. Shameless plug. Well, so we already said we're going to have Root Berry coming, and they're going to be doing the public show, which is going to be fun. So they're also going to be on site doing workshops, etc. And if you're a professional or want to be professional, Jonathan's going to be doing his comedy writing and creating comedy for your show workshop on Sunday. So that's going to be great for you upper level people. On Friday night, Master Ong is coming from California. He's going to be our headline act on Friday night, doing some awesome flow stuff, and he's doing flow workshops and everything else. Yeah, I know. I'm really excited. Every time we get people, like last year with Kyle Johnson, he was incredible. So we got some high talent that's coming for those of you who are already looking for new stuff. And if you're like, well, I want to go, but I got to bring the wife and kids, and I don't know if there's anything for them. Our Saturday morning show is always perfect for all families, and we have beginning workshop stuff, and we have the RIT mascot comes out, so you can get photo opportunities. And of course, we have like one of the most massive, huge raffles ever. Last year, we covered 2.5 tables of raffle donations. So you can always get a new prop for this raffle. So.
All right, free stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and great vendors. I think we got like 5 or 6 vendors already lined up to come. So it'll be all like a shopping mall. It'll be great.
Sweet. All right. So if people want to check out you, or get you to come perform at their place, or learn more about the RIT Festival or you, where can they find you?
Okay, so if they want to find more RIT Festival, probably the easiest way is to go on Google and type in Spring Juggle in. Because the college keeps changing our website location. It's super long, rit.sg, blah, blah, blah. So but you type in Google Spring Juggling, it pops right up. We've got a blog associated with it. We've also got a Facebook group and a individual called RIT Juggle, so you can look up RIT Juggle on Facebook and find stuff pretty quickly. As for me, because social media has grown, and I've been growing with it, some of you never knew a time when I was in social media, and I remember a time when what's a DVD player. So anyway, so my social media isn't very clearly connected. I mean, I'm so envious. Like Ivan Pacell has his name, Ivan Pacell at Twitter. Ivan Pacell, it's just me. I'm all over the place. So you can find me, Jeff Peden on Facebook easily enough. And if you're not sure, there are a few other Jeff Pedens in the world. I'm the one that has 752 other mutual juggling friends. So that'd be me. I have a lot of friends on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm Dream Juggler. Insider joke because I have narcolepsy. And Twitter, I am Jeff Peden. So you just look up Jeff Peden, it'll pop up on one of those social medias. Okay. I've been enjoying Instagram a lot lately. So
yeah, well, one of the problems with Googling your name is that somebody else's name kind of trumps yours these days.
It does, doesn't it? It's kind of cool. It's like, oh, look at that. It's the first 4 pages before it even gets to me. So yeah.
So if you Google Jeff Peden's name, you gotta wade through 4 pages of Wes.
It happens. So,
but I'm sure that you can't be more proud.
Yeah. Well, and you might also find one of those rare, what do they call it? Like in video games, they call it an Easter egg, like a little hidden thing. There are still some, because of my web hosting and some other things I haven't had time to clean up. There are still a few odds and ends, like antique pictures of Wes out there that he would prefer were taken down somehow. So anyway.
That's awesome. Okay, so is there anything you wanted to talk about today that I haven't asked you about?
No, I think we're good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, you have the last word, so what's some words of inspiration to the juggling community at large?
Words of juggling. Well, if you're not, all right, so speaking of community, obviously, it's the community of jugglers in the Rochester area and the community of jugglers through the IJA that's really had a huge impact on me and on Wes. So, if you're an online type juggling student, you're like, well, I just watch videos and I don't know who other jugglers are. I'd really advise you go see if you can find some real people to go hang out with. You can learn a lot from video. I mean, oh my goodness, I love watching Ryohei and some of these other Japanese jugglers. But when you actually go face to face, like many of the other people you've interviewed, so many jugglers are they know in their own heart how much they gain from other people, and they're really, really generous about handing back information and time. And it's a fabulous community. So if you haven't already reached out to your local juggling community, see what you can do to find someone, look, ask, check around. You'll be surprised. There are people, like even at RIT, where we have so many really amazing jugglers, and we have posters on the campus all the time. But there are still people who are like, well, I've been here for 4 years and I didn't know there was a juggling club. I'm like, did you even bother to look? I mean, it's not that hard. So, you might be surprised. Wherever you are, you might actually have a juggling community near you and you just didn't realize it. So, but yeah, connect with other jugglers. That's a good thing.
All right. Great advice. Well, hey, thanks so much for being with us again. I think
Sure, it was a pleasure.
everybody's going to love this conversation. And thanks, everybody, for watching. Remember, you can check out highlight reels and more interviews like this every week at my channel, everydayjuggler.com, and download my free resource, Top 15 Ways to Take Your Juggling to the Next Level, at my website.
Which is a great resource. I love it. Sorry. It's really good. And you're going to be at RIT this year, right?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, so come to RIT and say hi to Sean in person.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
All right. Until next time, keep on juggling.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, be sure to support the channel. Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe.